And it has to do with the most profitable way to bring new clients into your business. And it's by being the one for not only everybody you meet, but for existing customers and clients. So what I'm talking about here is oftentimes when somebody makes a sale or sells a product, they quickly go on to, okay, got to get another client, another new client, another new client, another new client. Well, when you nurture the relationships of existing clients, both to deliver additional services and value to them at higher levels, and asking them for who else do you know, asking them for referrals. When referrals come in, they don't have to come in at the top of your funnel at the lowest point. They will actually come in midway through your funnel and your offerings of products and services, because the relationship has already been established by the referral connection. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
No, absolutely. And, it's going back to Bob Burg again. If you've already established the know and the like and the trust on that. And so that does put you leaps and bounds ahead of having to meet at a cold call network event somewhere.
Yeah. And the challenge and the hecticness that I see going on with what I refer to as the entrepreneurial chase is they're spending probably 80% of their time on chasing after new clients and new business, which we all want to do. That's a definite important part of your business. But part of that 80% of your time should be divided up, so you're spending at least 30 of that 80% cultivating existing relationships.
I like that breakdown, and that makes sense because
it does. Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. So for example, over the years, we've known each other for 6 years now. We have cultivated an amazing relationship, and I've referred people to you, mm-hmm. and you've referred people to me. And when those people, so let's tell the story of this Franchise Expo, because that was such a perfect example of how this works.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell it? And
okay.
then I'll finish it off.
Well, Richard and I, Richard and I have had the honor, and I have to tell you how we got this honor as well. But Richard and I have had the honor of speaking at franchise expos here in the state of Florida, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami. And we were in Miami in this past June. And it was, I think, about a week before we were actually going to be coming to one of your events there in, I think we were in Boca Raton at that time. But there was a lady and her father stopped by our booth there at the expo. And we just got talking and we just connected and just really had an awesome conversation. And so I started asking her questions about, what she did. Turns out she was in marketing. She just moved over, I believe it was from Spain. And she was looking for a job, but really wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do. Down here in South Florida, there's an awesome group you need to connect with. Let me give you the information. And she contacted, and it was WPN. So she contacted the WPN offices, which is Women's Prosperity Network there. And she then came to that event that Richard and I attended called Level Up to focus on our business plans. And from there, she joined WPN. She also became one of your coaching clients, I believe, right? And I know I've seen her as with a group of a lot of the sisters down there. I call them sisters, to a lot of events. And she is just, I was just so happy to be able to serve her and introduce her to this amazing group of ladies. And
which was awesome. So through your recommendation, she showed up. She didn't just get on the website and opt in for my lead magnet.
Mm-hmm.
She showed up at a live event, which was, an investment on her part, a small one, but,
mm-hmm.
A monetary investment, and then invested further. And again, the key for where I really wanted to point this out is to have everybody work smarter instead of harder.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now there are loyal fans and followers of yours, customers and clients who you have delivered great service to, that if you simply call them up and say, hey, Bob, how are you doing? I was just thinking about you. It was, several months ago since we talked. How are things going for you? What's happening? Oh, and then they'll fill you in on something. And,
mm-hmm.
that strategy that we talked about, what kind of results did it get you? Val, it was really amazing and blah, blah, blah. I was just talking to my friend the other day, and it just opens up the space for new conversations and connections. And that's part of what social media is all about, is keeping you in the forefront of the suspects in the field so that you can show how you bring value to people's lives.
I mean, that was just an amazing statement that you made. But at the end there, it's, we meet people face to face. We're going to go to the unconference and I'm going to meet some people. Yeah. How do I carry that conversation on? And that's where social media is so prevalent and so powerful in what's there is, okay, we met, we now know each other, so we know what each other look like. There's a certain level of comfort. But now we can get on to deepening the relationship and hopefully business.
And social media is how we actually met. If you want to go back to the first part of the story, I mean, if you want to share how WPN became here in Brevard County, it was because of social media. Yeah. Yes, another.
Yeah. So did you know Cheri before that?
Yeah, she was a client of ours.
Oh, so all right. So this is really fun. So back in 2010, I guess this was, I was posting on social media, and I consistently post, and this woman, Cheri Ochanashik, was following me, and I put up an offer for, intermittent. It wasn't, I don't just sell. So I put up this offer for, a $67 package or something like that. Cheri purchases the package, hires me as her coach, falls in love with what we do at WPN, says, how can we open a chapter here in Brevard County? And the rest is history. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I think with our efforts, and this actually ties into a basic business principle again, and that is we don't give our efforts enough time and consistency for the results to show.
That's a very true statement. I know that just since I've been really listening to my coaches and really focusing on retention and knowing how to open doors up that may have been closed from previous, conversations, either at workshops or clients. I'd say probably the last 3 of the last 10 clients that we brought into our business have been either previous workshop attendees and they kept stalking me, following me on social media, but continued following me. And one was was a past client that we had with our former company that I'm now managing their social media for. So
that's great.
I know. And it's just amazing when you keep those relationships open. I would like to have you share with everyone how they can actually get a copy of your book, The One Philosophy. And I know that you have a free audio available on your website where they could download as well. Is that correct?
I do. Yeah. So The One Philosophy, you can grab it on Amazon. There's a Kindle version there. I think the print book is there as well. Or you can purchase it directly from my website, nancymatthews.com. And when you go to nancymatthews.com, there's an audio that goes deeper into the principles of living what I call living the way of the one. Mm-hmm. So it's all fine and good for us to have this theoretical conversation. How do you practically apply this in your life? How do you show up every day? What are the habits? What are the ways of being? What's the thought process and the actual engagement with other people that you want to put into place? That's what that audio is about.
Amazing. And there's a number of stories in there that, of people sharing about the one, and I was very pleasantly surprised when I read the book that there was actually someone in there that said I was the one for them. So again, Miranda Crowder, who we miss terribly, she's up in the North Carolina area, but a client a client of ours. So and it's a feel good. It just makes you feel good when you know you've served others. And when I talked to Cecilia, the lady that I introduced to WPN from that Franchise Expo, and I want to just touch on that Franchise Expo in just for a second. The company that actually contacted us to speak there is out of Canada, and they were doing a Google search in the South Florida area looking for social media speakers, and we kept popping up. And we kept popping up because well, you want to know why we kept popping up is because
I
of
do.
WPN. Everything was leading from your website. We had been, at that time, we were educational partners with you. We were also had done some breakouts and spoken at Level Up. So it was everything. It just amazed. Well, it doesn't amaze me anymore. I know it's a given. When you give, you get back. And you have to just let go and allow that to happen. I think that's the toughest thing. And I learned that this last week with all the craziness of the hurricane. You have to accept help, accept assistance, and ask as well. So great stuff. Well, we're also, I guess, we have about 9 minutes left, but I want to make sure that we do get in some great information. You mentioned Michael E. Gerber, and who is the author of the E-Myth Revisited. I think the number one guru of small businesses. And
according to Inc. magazine, and I would have to agree with them. I've had the privilege of having some one-on-one time with him.
Mm-hmm.
And oh wow, talk about coaches and mentors.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so I suspect you're going to be leading them for me to share about the Unconference.
Yes, because yes. Please do.
Yeah, so let me share about that. So the Unconference, and I'll tell you why we call it that in a moment. The Unconference is taking place in Orlando, October 21st through 24th. And you can get information and get your tickets at WPNUnconference.com. So that's W, P as in Peter, N as in Nancy, WPNUnconference.com. And the Unconference is called that because, again, if I'm going to serve people better than anybody else, I'm not going to just do a conference. I have to do an unconference. And it's an unconference from this perspective. Number one, it's a participant-driven experience. So we find out from our audience and survey, what topics do you want to hear? What do you need to learn next? What are the basic premises? We have the content and the speaker selection actually driven from listening to our community. And every single presentation from the stage is wrapped in an interactive exercise that causes engagement and implementation for locking in the learning. So that's part of the process, and we move you through a 3-day journey, coming out with a result that you will accelerate, continue the momentum, and my goal is that everybody who comes to this event has 2016 be their year. It doesn't matter where you are now. I think if we make a football analogy, there are some teams that go into the fourth quarter, 0-24, and they pull it out. It's never too late. The only time it becomes too late is when you don't take action.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And there was one of those football teams that was 0-24 that ultimately won the game this last week, just to re-edify what you were saying on that. Yeah, it's that mentality. You may be beating up on me, but I don't quit. And
That's
sooner
right.
or later, you're going to get tired. You're going to make that mistake. You're going to do something you shouldn't have done, and I'm going to fly on by you while you're looking.
He always loves to bring football into the conversation.
I'm glad it worked out. That was perfect. So I'll share a little bit about the speakers. So Michael E. Gerber is one of our keynote speakers, and he's going to be speaking on the E-Myth and the systems and structures. And here's the thing, is you may not get another chance to see this man live. And I'm not trying to be morbid or anything like that. And we've actually partnered with him and his wife, Lucelia, to make sure that the legacy of the E-Myth work continues, regardless of his existence on this planet. And he is sharp. He is healthy. I'm not saying there's anything wrong here, but I know for myself that there was an event that Zig Ziglar was at, one of Bob Berg's events many years ago. And I went to that event, and it was one of his last appearances. You don't know that in advance.
Right.
You have to seize the opportunity and seize the moment. And as it relates to the Unconference, I'll just say this. Yes, it's next weekend. And some people may be saying, I have this going on. I don't know if I can make it, blah, 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 blah. What do you really want? Do you really want that this is going to be the year for you? Because I promise you, when you show up with a committed and thirsty attitude to be the one and live your best life, when you show up at Unconference with that energy and intention, you'll get more than you ever expected to receive.
No, most definitely. I can give testimonials on that.